Good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this. I actually didn't even have a plan to record this episode today. I actually had a plan to do it tomorrow after hair wash day, all of it. But I just felt so called to record this podcast today for you guys. I am freshly, a little out of breath from my walk just now. We made it to nap time. It just felt so right now. So here we are delivering this podcast episode. And, I first just want to start this episode because this is number 3. It's been 48 hours since the launch of Mother of One podcast. And I did create like a template for the next 10 or so episodes. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But my gosh, the response that I have gotten from so many of you moms, whether you are a mother of one or you're pregnant, having this idea that maybe, you are going to be a mother of one, or you do have people in your life who are mothers of one, so you're listening in to learn more about how to support them, whatever it looks like. I've gotten a response from so many of you guys in the most positive ways, so much that it's made me more excited, more eager, just more everything. Also a little bit more nervous because so many listeners are loving it so far that I just want to deliver the best that I can. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being in this little corner of the internet, my little corner of the internet, being on the other side of the speaker, having your ear be on the other side of the speaker is one of the absolute coolest things that I've ever done in my life. And it's just so epic that we get to create this community, right? To create something that doesn't exist on the internet. And so when I set out to create this podcast, this episode specifically, the episode of Am I a Bad Mom Because I Only Want One Child? I got a little bit emotional thinking about it because that was the dialogue that played in my head for so many months. So much that I'm not going to remember it so vividly, you guys, and maybe you're in this season, but I was 4 months postpartum, just coming out of that like newborn fog of like, okay, we're getting a little bit more sleep. I'm getting to know my baby a little bit better, but here we are, we're on our walk. We were walking like 2 miles every single day. Ty had gone back to work. So Carson and I, we were in a good routine of like walking every day. And while I was walking, I was just plugging into some type of mom podcast. I wasn't ready for anything business or anything. I just needed like to hear from other moms. And in that moment, freshly 4 months postpartum, I remember starting to feel those feelings starting to creep in of, this is going to be my only pregnancy. This is going to be my only postpartum journey. So I want to lean into it. This is the only time I'm going to be able to do it. I started to really solidify the feelings of trusting my gut in that we were only going to have one child. And so while I'm on this walk, I'm just having this desire to hear from other moms who are living a similar life to mine. Literally for no other reason than to just see other people, hear other people doing it. I didn't need them to tell me that my decision was right. I didn't need somebody to reach through the phone and say, Ashley, you only want one kid, that's okay. I didn't really necessarily need that because I knew that in my heart. I really did know that. But I was just feeling very alone in that decision. I just wanted to hear another mom talk about it, period. I just wanted to hear, not just talk about it, but I wanted to hear another woman confident in their decision, another mother confident in their decision, period. And I couldn't find it. I searched every single way that I could: mother of one, mom of only child, single child parenting. Literally, I searched every array of words that I could, and I couldn't find a single podcast episode telling me that your decision is the right one because it's yours and you know your family better than anybody else. So guess what? I'm making that episode here for you guys today. This is an episode where I am going to just solidify your decision, solidify your heart, your mind, not even solidify, ease you a little, if you will, in kind of just taking the pressure off and saying, you know what, whatever it is that I'm feeling, it's enough and it's right because it's mine and I know my family better than anybody else. So let's dive into today's episode. Am I a bad mom for just wanting one? Oh, please now, do this just for me. I don't know so much. Give me love, give me love, give me love, baby. Oh. I did take you back through that journey of the way that I felt all those months ago. My goodness. So now we're 13 months postpartum. So this was almost a year ago. I was really feeling that way. And so I have a feeling I'm probably going to have 2 listeners listening to this podcast. And I kind of just want to keep this episode short and sweet, because I do want it to be one that we can share and have it listened to on a walk, share and have it listened to on the way to the grocery store, and not feel like you need to carve out this big chunk of time to just feel like you just need to hear it. And this might be one that you actually re-listen to in those moments of question and worry, where you just, go to episode 3, you press play and you take a second to listen. But I probably have 2 listeners on this podcast. First one I have is probably the mom going through it with me, or like I was, that mom who might be newly postpartum and be feeling like, they don't know the answer yet, but it feels so wrong type situation. I might be having the newly postpartum moms who feel like, oh my gosh, nobody talks about it. Everybody has more than one kid. And am I the problem? Are they? I might just be having, and if that's you, you're not alone in that, right? I literally just told you I was that mom 4 months postpartum who needed this so badly. So that's probably the first listener that I have. And the second listener we probably have here on the podcast today is the mom very much like me, who is kind of on the other side of postpartum, feeling like you got your groove a little bit. So let's dive back to that first category. And if you are one or the other, and you might be saying to yourself, well, I don't want to listen to, if I'm not this person, I don't want to listen to what Ashley has to say about her. I want you to listen to it, because chances are there a past version of you was her, or guess what? Somebody in your life might be about to go through what this person has gone through or is going through, and you're going to be there to support them better because of this podcast, because of the energy that we're about to talk about. So that first category of the mom going through it right now, been there, done that, right? And if you're on the mom on the other side of it, clap for this person with me, because they're in it and we've been there, and we didn't think we were gonna get out of it, right? My goodness, I would wake up in the morning and say to myself, how fast can we get these 6 months to go by? And actually, one of my friends, she talks about the fact that she was complaining to her husband about how she is just not having any fun in the newborn stage. It's her first time through. She's not having any fun in the newborn stage. And her husband was like, because it's not fun. Like, why are you guys pretending like it's supposed to be so fun and then you feel bad because it's not fun? Plain and simple, we're just not having any fun, but we're getting through it, right? And it's molding us and shaping us, and right, we just get through it. We may be wishing our way through it, but you're getting through it and you're coming out stronger on the other side. But for you moms that are in it and listening to this episode right now, I want you to know 2 main things. First and foremost, the way you feel is valid. And if you are not having fun in this early postpartum season, that's okay. It doesn't have to be. I know so many people who love those early newborn days. And then I know people who, like me, feel like they lost themselves in those early newborn days. But whatever you feel is the way that you feel, period. We have to stop looking for validation in, well, why doesn't Sally feel this way? And why does Sue feel this way? And then I'm left feeling a way so wonky and so backward of the way that they feel. Am I the problem? No. You're just you. And you are here so differently than other people. But need I remind you what you just did? And this goes for everybody. What did we just do? Especially for those new moms. What did you just do? Well, let's go back to the very beginning. About 10 plus months ago, this perfect swimmer, matched up with your perfect little egg, and they decided that they were going to combine and then cozy themselves up into a little part of your body and grow this perfect nose and ears and wiggly fingers and fingernails. Like, nobody told me the fingernails were just gonna kill me. Grow these elbows, the toe, like, over the last 10 months or so, whenever your pregnancy journey was, you quite frankly created a miracle. Something incredible happened. Something that when you really think about it, it's like, holy shit, that is wild that was inside of me. And then around 10 months, 9-ish, 10 months, they decide, knock, 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 we're ready to get out of here. And you either pushed them out vaginally, out of a little canal, or a team of doctors came together, opened you up, and took that baby. That life, a literal human life, came out of you. And wherever you are in your postpartum journey, you have kept that human alive. You have loved it and nurtured it and done exactly what you have done to it. Is it a perfect version of motherhood? No, and I don't think any of us are perfect mothers, but it's our journey of motherhood, and we have given that baby exactly what it needed. But at the end of the day, a miracle, an absolute miracle. You just did that thing. And I want to remind you that you are not less of a mom for not wanting to do it again. And I'm going to stand tall telling you guys right now, I don't want to do it again. I loved it. It was beautiful. It was a miracle. It was so many things, but along with all of those incredibly beautiful things, it was also hard. But I got to experience it, and you got to experience it. And so many women, so many moms go off and want to do it again. I just don't. And it's okay if maybe you don't want to. You have that memory, and you are not less of a mom because you aren't going to do it again. You created that perfect babe, and you are now raising that perfect child. Maybe you're closing the door on having children on that chapter, but you're opening up the door to being able to solely focus on raising your child now. That is an affirmation that I want you to hear. You are closing the door on having children, but you are opening the door to solely focus on raising children, on raising a baby, raising your child. And that is so beautiful. As somebody who is so routine and planned and regimented, I honestly got chills when I realized that, that was such a vibrant season of my life. The one where we were planning to have babies and had Carson and went through the hospital tours and the this and the that and the planning and the nursery and that was such a special season of my life. But that chapter is shut, and now it's focused on raising him. And it's just so exciting that is what is ahead of us. And so for those of you who are freshly postpartum, feeling like I don't know, I do know, I don't know, but this person tells me I should, and I get questions asked all the time. Whatever you feel is valid. Stop trying to find it inside of other people. Find it inside of yourself and keep learning. I mean, you're probably listening to this podcast, one, because you know you're done having children, but you just needed to hear other women who are confident in the decision like I did, or you're kind of like, I think so, but I just need to learn a little bit more about myself and my needs and my wants and my relationship with my husband and our family and our future. You've come to the right place. But then this next category of people is probably going to be very similar to the situation Ty and I are in. And, I really didn't talk about this much on the episode 1, going into my story. But after the podcast launched, after episode 1 and 2 launched on Tuesday, a friend of mine, her and I, we went to the park. And she has 2 children, planning for her 3rd child. And we just got to talking about, our relationships and her story a little bit, my story a little bit. We know each other well, but we don't really, usually it's small talk. We actually got to really hear each other's stories in a big way. And she was like, well, why, what's the root of it? Why do you really think that you and Ty don't want to have another child? And I said to her, And I wanted to make sure I shared this with you guys because I've been getting really great feedback from you listeners, especially from episode 1, talking about the way Ty felt. I shared a lot about the emotion from my husband's perspective. And a handful of you guys said you'd love for him to come on and actually share his emotion a little bit more. And that's really helpful. I love all the feedback. I want you guys to know that. But a big piece of it comes down to the fact, and this took a lot of digging, that Ty and I have had a very easy relationship. Ty and I started dating, it's been almost 12 years now. The first 10 years of our lives were so easy. Of course, we had our obstacles, like my dad battled addiction. I ended up losing my stepsister. I lost we go through our things in life as anybody does, but our relationship, who we were as people, as a couple, has been very, I guess the word is just like simple. We've kind of just like followed the roadmap, the map that we had designed for ourselves. We both got great careers. We bought our first house. We got a dog. We're just we've just been happy. We love each other to the corners of the universe. And until his accident happened in 2020, we really weren't faced with a lot of having to navigate life and hardship together. But his accident happened. It was a short obstacle, really effing hard, but we got through it. We got over it, right? Fertility issues, that was a big obstacle. We fought through it though. We got through it. And those weren't insane, life-shattering type things to us. They were obstacles we had to jump over, road bumps, if you will, and then we got back to kind of our easier lives. Well, then you throw postpartum and a baby into your life and you start to question everything. The lack of sleep makes you feel paralyzed. This lack of routine makes you feel just so off. Just, enter whatever type of situation, teething and this and that. You're just thrown so far off. And what we once saw our relationship as just this really solid, simple thing, kind of like the foundation of everything in our lives, at the end of every single day. And I remember Ty saying this when he was kind of going through something hard at work. He was like, you know what, even at the end of every single day, I have Ash. I have Ash and we're each other's foundation, which is such a blessing. And that's not to say Carson, didn't become a part of our foundation just, since the very first day we brought him home. But our whole world as we knew it, were just totally shaken. And it was hard. Whew. It was tough. And it wasn't until we started leaning toward the easier days where we looking back oh, that was really hard. I don't want to do that again. Oh, that was tough. Let that be in the rear view, right? And you start looking ahead at the simpler days, yes, you have a toddler running around, and I get it. Toddler life isn't easy, but you just have simpler days. Your kid's starting to walk and you're celebrating more and you're starting to be able to communicate with your child. You just start to become more fluid as a parent. You're learning how to be a parent. And a lot of you guys listening to this are going to understand, but Ty and I have just opened that door of this isn't easy, but we've gotten back to our simpler life of okay, we're just happy here. And a big reason that we don't want to have another child is the fact that we are back to feeling really secure and happy again. And like I said in episode 1, that doesn't need to make sense to everybody, but for those of you that it does make sense to, it just makes sense. And I know some of you guys are going to be able to relate to that because I've had moms reach out to me whose children are 13, 14, like middle school age. And you've said to me, it was what worked for our family, and was exactly what we needed in that moment, and it's turned out to be something, it's flourished into something beautiful. You just know when you know, and that's what it comes down to. And that goes back to my point of the fact that, you guys, we are all just different beings. We're all just these creative beings on this planet. We all have eyes and nose and a mouth, but we're wired so differently. So our needs are going to be wired so differently. Your family, the neighbor living right next door to you that you might share a wall with. I live in a beautiful 3-story townhouse, but I have a wall and I sleep right next to people. An older couple who just moved in a few months ago. We share a wall, but I know that what happens inside of our walls, they are so incredibly different. And that is the beauty of this life. And that's the beauty of being able to network with so many. And I bet your best friends in the world, they're going to go off and they might have more than one child. Your cousins that you were raised with, maybe your brothers, your sisters, they're going to go off and they're going to have big families. And it doesn't make you less of a mom or less of a parent, if we have any husbands listening to this, for not wanting to go off and create what somebody so near and dear to you has gone on and created. Okay? I'm going to end this episode here because it went way longer than I wanted it to, but I do want this to be one of those episodes that if you are like me, at 4 months postpartum, I didn't necessarily need somebody to reach through the phone and say, Ashley, you're right. I just needed to hear somebody else confident in the decision that being a mother of one is A-okay. And as always, you guys, if you know any mamas of one and you want to share this community, I really hope that you do. I hope you share this podcast episode. I hope you go back to episode 1, let them hear my story a little bit. But more than anything, please, please, please share our free Facebook community. If you haven't had a chance to join it, it will be in the show notes. All you have to do is click that link and add yourself, and it'll just be a safe place for us to kind of go and network and chat with one another in a way that we can't do behind the microphone. But anyway, I hope you guys have an incredible rest of your day, an incredible rest of your week, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.